Hey, Gaurachanda, Radhika, Davu. Gurve Gaurachanda, Radhika, Davu. Krishna, Krishna Bhattaya, Tadabhattaya, Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadha, Shiva Sadhu Gaura Bhakta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I offer pranams to our Gurudev, and Vishnu Pad, Sri Bhaktivedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj, also our Rupanuga Guru Parampara, all Vaishnavas, especially Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, yesterday was the appearance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and all were glorifying him because the very complicated philosophy given by Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis was given very simple way in books like this Jaiva-Dharma. So, we're now on chapter 31, a deeper deliberation on Madhura-rasa. So, Svakiya-nayakas, Krishna Svarupa's Madhura-rasa-nayaka. So, we heard how Vijay, he wanted to go more deeply into Madhura-rasa, therefore he approached his Shiksha Guru, Shri Gopakumar, without the association of Brajanath, because Brajanath in Sakiras. So, one night about 10 o'clock, in the evening, he was reading Ujjvala Nilamani, that is Rupa Goswami's book, dealing exclusively with Madhura-rasa. So he thought, oh, I heard that anytime Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Sundarachal, that he would have darshan of Vrindavan. So thinking like that, he began walking there. So, as he was walking towards Sundarachal, he saw a spurti of Brajdam. Spurti means like some manifestation. Spurti generally means in the heart. So it's something he saw. At that time, Brajanath's mind was always thinking of the topics he was studying in Ujjvala Nilamani, and so he was absorbed in the flow of Madhura-rasa. Only Krishna's pastimes with the gopis would attract his mind. Any other topics had become tasteless. So, he saw some small forests on either side. That time, that spurti of Vrindavan came before his direct vision. Okay. So, Vijay became overwhelmed in prem. Oh, I am so fortunate. I am having darshan of this Brajbhumi, which is very difficult to attain, even for the demigods like Lord Brahma. How beautiful are these forests? Look at this kunja, what am I seeing within this kunja of Malati creepers? The master of my life, Sri Krishna, is sitting with the gopis and laughing and joking. So Vijay became very restless and he tried to run there at the speed of the mind. However, he fell unconscious. A cooling breeze began to serve him. And when he woke up, that vision he'd seen by direct eyes. Normally spurti means just something in the heart, but he'd seen directly by his eyes. But he could not see that thing again. So he became full of grief and returned home. He thought, I will tell Gurudev in the morning, but then he remembered, if one sees something confidential like that, one should not tell anyone. Anyway, Gurudev is Siddha Purush, he knows everything. So, the next morning, the next day, he went again to Kasimishra Bhavan. He offered satsang dandavats to his Gurudev. And again he began asking his questions. He said, I have read some confidential topics in regards to Ujjval Ras. I've been reading Ujjval Nilamani. There are certain parts I cannot fully comprehend. May I ask you some questions? Gopal Guru said, I'm very happy to hear something from you. So, Vijay said, of the Mukhya Ras, Madhura-rasa has been called the Ras which gives rise to an abundance of mysteries. And why not? Since the qualities of the other four rasas, Santa, Dasa, Sakya and Vatsalya, are eternally present in Madhura-rasa, whatever astonishing thing is in the other rasas will be in Madhura-rasa, but what is Madhura-rasa may not be present therein the other rasas. Just like if Mahaprabhu gave the example, if you take sugarcane juice, that's like Shantaras. If you boil it and condense it, it becomes good. If you refine it more, it becomes sugar, like this. So, the previous qualities are always present. Okay. Therefore, Madhura-rasa is without doubt superior to all other rasas. For that reason, it's called Adi Ras, the original ras, the source of all others. But those who are absorbed in dry renunciation, in personalism, they cannot understand this ras. Those who are absorbed in materialistic thoughts also cannot comprehend this ras, because it is exactly the opposite nature of mundane, materialistic affairs between man and woman in this world. So he asked, why does this uppercut ras, the transcendental Madhura-rasa, why does it appear so much like mundane rasa between man and woman in this world? No? So Goswami says, you should know that whatever varieties you see in this world are just a reflection of what is there present in the spiritual world. Whatever you see in a reflection, everything looks the same, but it's completely opposite. Okay. So in the reflection, every part of a limb or of a body appears in reversed form in the reflection in the mirror. Okay. So whatever's there in the spiritual world, that is also present here, but in a perverted manner. Okay. So transcendental ras, which is the very nature of the Paramvastu Sri Krishna, because Sri Krishna is Raso Vayahasaha. Krishna is the embodiment of all tastes, of all mellows, of all ras in this world, or in the entire creation. So whatever is there in Krishna in the spiritual world, that is reflected here in the material world. So Krishna has his own astonishing innate ras also. But when that is reflected in the inert plane, the material world, the conditioned soul imagines that this principle has material designations and attributes. For example, when we hear the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis, our only experience is this world. Right? Therefore, we attribute the material qualities which we've experienced here, we attribute that onto the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Okay? Because of that defective intelligence, the souls in this world, even they hear pastimes of Krishna, they cannot properly comprehend it. They always get some opposite thought, opposite conclusion. Or some people consider because there is so much variety in this world, then the spiritual world must be devoid of reality, devoid of variety. Therefore they conclude that God is impersonal. So either material intelligence or impersonalism, these are obstacles which prohibit the people of this world understanding the pastimes of Radha Krishna. Okay. Therefore, the varieties of this world are experienced in an opposite manner. Right? In this world, people consider Santaras, like what is manifested by Buddha, being like completely detached from all varieties in this world, people consider that to be the highest. That's why in this world people consider liberation to be the goal of life. But that Shanti-rasa in this world, which is considered the highest attainment, that is in the lowest position in the spiritual world. And the highest thing in the spiritual world, which is the Madhura-rasa, the loving relationship between Krishna and the gopis, that is the perverted reflection of this world, which is mundane sex life, which is considered most degraded. In the mature world, everything is in the reversed order. So Madhura-rasa is on the lowest level, seen as the lowest level here, the lowest level of love. Okay, so he continues like that. The position and activities of the reflection of Madhura-rasa in the material world are extremely petty and shameful in this world. Consequently, people who deliberate on Ras Tattva from the mundane perspective conclude that Madhura-rasa is wretched and contemptible. Actually, in the spiritual world, it is completely pure, immaculate, and full of astonishing sweetness. But in the material world, it's the completely opposite. It's degraded, full of suffering, and not pure at all. Okay, therefore the original form of sex life between man and woman, that is there in the spiritual world. And what we experience in this world, that is just a shadow. Because in the spiritual world is the highest happiness, in the material world is the cause of greatest suffering, the greatest bondage. In the material world, the mundane behavior between men and women is shameful. However, in the spiritual world, it is completely pure. Because in the spiritual world, the only Visaya is Krishna, the only enjoyer is Krishna, and the gopis are his energy, so nothing mundane or degraded in the spiritual world. In the material world, one soul becomes the enjoyer, thinking I'm a man. Another soul becomes the enjoyer, thinking I'm a wife. And they wish to relate to each other on that material platform. This affair becomes abhorrent and shameful because it's completely opposed to reality. Actually, Gurudev would say, actually all souls are female in nature. It means they are to be enjoyed by Krishna. So Gurudev said, when we see two souls in marriage, one thinking I'm a man, another I'm a wife, Gurudev, this is like a circus, like a joke. So if we look according to reality, in tattva, one soul can never be the husband or the wife of another soul. On the contrary, Sri Krishna is the only enjoyer, and all other souls are to be enjoyed by him. The situation in which one soul thinks I am the enjoyer is against his actual eternal nature. Therefore, for that reason, the mundane relationships between man and woman in this world are shameful and despicable. Okay. Therefore, in some way, the relationship between man and women look the same as the relationship between Krishna and his Prakriti in the spiritual world. That is all due to defective intelligence, defective perception. So Vijay, very carefully, he hears, yes, Gurudev, I understand. I have now heard this unprecedented conclusion. Now, my self-evident conviction has become firm and all my doubts are dispelled. I have understood the position of Madhura-rasa within the spiritual world. Aho! Just as the very word Madhurya means sweet, its transcendental nature also gives rise to supreme bliss. Who is so unfortunate as one who finds satisfaction in Santaras when there is a ras such as Madhura-rasa? Right? Because Shanti-rasa means freedom from material entanglement, material attachment, material suffering. Right? But that is the lowest position of attainment. Freedom from suffering is not the platform of perfect and real happiness. So Madhura-rasa is the platform of perfect and material happiness. But in this world, it's the cause of greatest bondage, the greatest suffering, the greatest illusion. So Gurudev, now I wish to hear the full explanation and philosophies of the principles of Madhura-rasa. Okay, Gopal Guru Goswami says, "O my son, O Baba, Krishna is the only enjoyer of Madhura-rasa. Krishna is the object. He is the He is the Visaya Lamban, and the gopis are the ashray, the shelter. So both Krishna as the object and gopis as the subject, they are the Lamban of this Madhura-rasa. Right? No question of any other rasa entering into Madhura-rasa. So how is Krishna as the Visaya Lamban of Madhura-rasa? How does he look? What a sweet question. Krishna's complexion is like that of a darkish rain cloud. He is charming and sweet. He has all attractive bodily attributes. He is strong, youthful, an eloquent and endearing speaker. He is intelligent, splendid, grave, skillful, clever, happy, grateful, sincere. He is controlled by love, right? The perfect man. Everyone in this, ladies in this world looking for the perfect husband. It cannot be, because all the husbands of this world have bodies of stool and urine. They're full of lust and greed and selfishness. So when we try to make anyone else except Krishna as the object of love, then we suffer. Must be. So that Krishna, the Visaya Lamban of Madhura-rasa, he steals the hearts of old ladies. He's ever fresh. He's always enjoying pastimes, incomparable pastimes. What else? He is exquisitely beautiful. He is the most dearly beloved who plays upon his flute. Krishna is the only person who possesses these 64 qualities. The beauty of his two lotus feet crushes to dust the pride of Cupid. His sidelong glance enchants the hearts of all. He is the treasury of playful pastimes. Okay, so those in Vatsalya-rasa have one meditation on Krishna. Those in Svakiya-rasa have another meditation. Those in Madhura-rasa have another meditation. But Krishna is one. Krishna is not 5 or 12. Krishna is one. But that one Krishna can reciprocate with the moods of all devotees. That's why Krishna is called the Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is the perfect object of all ras. Okay. So, Vijay says, I have realized Krishna with his transcendental form and qualities as the only Nayak. Nayak means hero, male hero. He's the only Nayak, of the supremely wonderful Madhura-rasa. Okay. I am experiencing every moment newer and newer realizations of Krishna, spurti of Krishna, day and night. Even though I give up Krishna, Krishna does not give me up, even for a moment. How merciful he is. Okay, so he quotes Rupa Goswami Bhakti-rasa-mrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami says, only the pure devotees who accept Krishna's lotus feet as their all in all can experience this bhakti ras, Bhagavat ras. One cannot experience this ras if his heart has no scent of bhakti, or if the heart is full of mundane desires, or if he is addicted to mundane logic, he cannot enter or taste this bhakti ras. Okay. So Prabhu, I realize this ras is the supremely pure and wondrous mood, bhav, that arises in the heart when it's illuminated by Suddha Sattva. Okay, Suddha Sattva is what's an easy way to say? Suddha Sattva is what the spiritual world and everything there is made of. Suddha Sattva. But we will hear the explanation later. So this bhav, this is completely transcendental. No? And when the heart is illuminated by that, we heard in the last chapter, when the heart is free from all mundane conception and saturated with this Suddha Sattva, that one is qualified to taste ras. Okay. This ras manifests upon the pure sattva of the jiva, who is an atomic particle of consciousness. This rasa is experienced in the state of bhakti samadhi. One who has Gurudev's mercy can discriminate between Suddha Sattva and Mishra Sattva, mixed existence. Only the person who has the mercy of Guru can understand the difference between matter and spirit in a simple language. Problem comes when you mix material understanding with spiritual understanding. Then all these problems come, but someone who has the real mercy of Guru always knows the difference between what is transcendental and what is material. Many people speak high topics, but their heart's full of lust, full of pride, full of desire for name and fame. And foolish people listen to that thinking this is Bhakti-rasa. But one who has the mercy of Guru can nicely understand the difference between pure sadhu and impure person. So Gopal Guru Goswami said, what you have said is true. Now Gopal Guru Goswami said, I will ask you a question. Simply by answering my question, you will realize yourself. Tell me, what is the difference between Suddha Sattva and Mishra Sattva? Right? What's the difference between spiritual and pseudo-spiritual? Okay. So Vijay Kumar offered pranams to his Gurudev and said, Gurudev, by your mercy I will try. Please correct me if I make some mistake. Anything which exists is called sattva. Sattva. Okay. That which has existence is called sattva, and any substance which has an actual position, form, quality, or activity can be called sattva. So pretty much anything which exists, that is called sattva. Suddha Sattva is sattva or existence which has no beginning or no end. Right? That's why bhakti has no beginning or no end. It's Nitya-siddha Krishna Prem. Many people think, oh, I go to Gurudev, I go to sadhus, and by that I get bhakti, I get my Svarupa, I get my mood. But that by its own definition, that is wrong, because bhakti has no beginning, no end. It's Nitya-siddha. It's always there, but it's manifested by the mercy of Guru and Vaishnava and by the potency of Bhakti Devi herself. So Suddha Sattva means has no beginning, no end, eternal. And whose form is eternally new. It is not contaminated by the divisions of past and future time. It always remains thoroughly astonishing. Suddha Sattva includes all aspects of existence that are the products of the pure spiritual entity Suddha Chit Shakti. So in simple language, everything in the spiritual world, everything manifested from the Chit Shakti, that is called Suddha Sattva. Okay. The Jiva also manifests from the Chit Shakti. It's a particle of the Chit Shakti, so it also can be called that in its pure state. But that will be clarified. Okay, so Suddha Sattva means anything manifested from the Suddha Chit Shakti, the pure spiritual potency. It has no beginning and no end. It's all ever fresh. It's not affected by past or future. Like this world, we get something, right? Like a mango, like an ice cream, like a woman. We get a child, we get some money. But anything in this world, for a moment it seems like nectar, but as time progresses it becomes stale, it becomes tasteless. Because any ras in this world, any sattva in this world influenced by past or future. Therefore after some time it becomes tasteless, we give it up and we search for some new happiness. No, but the Suddha Sattva is not like that. In Maya, which is the shadow of the Chit Shakti, there is transformations of past and future. We're experiencing something, then it's influenced. Everything we experience is influenced by time factor. All aspects of existence are influenced by Rajagun because they have a creation, and influenced by Tamagun because they have destruction. They have a beginning and an end. Therefore, everything in this world is called Mishra Sattva. Mishra Sattva refers to aspects of Maya Sattva that have a beginning and an end. So in simple language, everything in the spiritual world, Suddha Sattva, and everything we experience in the material world, that is Mishra Sattva. So what is the soul? Is the soul Suddha Sattva or is it Mishra Sattva? So pure soul is Suddha Sattva and has form, qualities and activities that are also composed of Suddha Sattva. So the name, the form, the quality, the activities of the liberated souls, that is also Suddha Sattva. Right? However, since the pure Jiva was conditioned, has fallen into material existence, the two qualities of illusion, Rajagun and Tamagun, have become mixed with his pure Sattva. Therefore, the conditioned soul is called Mishra Sattva, mixed existence or mixed goodness. Okay. So Gurudev would be a little specific about this. Gurudev would make a little distinction between Suddha Sattva and Visuddha Sattva. So Gurudev would say everything in the spiritual world, especially the moods and the hearts of the eternally liberated souls, that is Visuddha Sattva. And the pure and the Jiva in this world, that is Suddha Sattva. That's why Suddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Shuryangsa Samyubat. When the bhakti situated in the heart of the Visuddha Sattva of the Nityasiddhas touches the heart of the Suddha Jiva, the Suddha Sattva, the souls in this world, that is called Bhav. Okay, so Guru Maharaj would little correct us. The Suddha Sattva means the Nityasiddhas, and this world, even the pure Jiva, that is called Suddha Sattva. And Bhav is when the mood of the Visuddhas touches the Suddhas. Okay, when the Suddha Jiva takes shelter of the Visuddhas, then he can taste Bhav, he can taste Prem, he can taste all these things. That's why without the mercy of Vaishnava, all the souls in this world can taste his liberation and not more. Okay. So Gopal Guru Goswami says, Baba, you have presented an extremely subtle Siddhanta. Now tell me, how is the heart of the Jivas in this world illuminated by Suddha Sattva? Or Visuddha Sattva? Okay. So the Suddha Sattva, the pure existence of the Jiva, does not manifest clearly as long as he remains conditioned in the material world. Right? It's covered. He realizes his Svarupa to the extent that this Suddha Sattva arises. But he cannot attain this result by any sadhana of karma or jnana. It can only be attained by bhakti. The reason is as follows. No bodily impurity can be eradicated by another substance that is itself impure. Right? Mundane karma is impure. How can it remove the contamination of karma? Mundane knowledge, jnana, is also considered impure. How can it remove the contamination of the soul? Yoga, right? Stretching this body. At the end of the day, this body is made of what? Stool and urine. So how can breathing exercises or asanas or anything connected with the material body give purity? Really? Right? Even rejecting that which is impure is still no benefit really at the end of the day. No, if you want to get pure, you cannot become pure by taking bath in dirty water. In the same way, the conditioned soul can never be purified by the materially contaminated sadhanas of karma, jnana, yoga, what to speak of anything else. No? As for the jnana, right? Jnana may destroy material existence, but still cannot give rise to the happiness. Okay, when you become unfilthy, right? When you become purified by jnana, purified from the results of material contamination by jnana, you can get a happiness that rises from freedom from suffering. But not more than that. Right? This Suddha Sattva can only appear through bhakti. Right? Bhakti, which type of bhakti? Bhakti done under the guidance of Vaishnavas. I don't think I will just read books, Hare Krishna, no Vaishnav mercy, no Vaishnav seva, no Harikatha, and think that you will touch these things. That is also a materialistic defect. Suddha Sattva, in simple language, Suddha Sattva is where? It's in the heart of Guru and Vaishnavas. If we want to attain that, we have to do Bhakti Sadhana under their guidance, in their association. No? When Bhakti appears, by performing Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of Vaishnavas, then the Suddha Sattva illuminates the heart. Okay. Goswami says, "Is it a pleasure to give instructions to such a qualified person as you?" Yes. Very hard to find bona fide disciple. Guru Maharaj would even say, to find a bona fide guru is not so hard. But to find bona fide disciple, that is very difficult. No? Hare Krishna. Okay. So Vijay, Gopal Guru Goswami asks, is there anything more you want to hear? Yes, Gurudev. You mentioned already the four type of Nayak. Nayak means man and Nayak means woman. So you described already the four type of Nayak. Male hero. Right? Dhirodat, Dhirodhat, Dhirshant, and Dhilalit. Right? Already described the four types of hero. Which one is Krishna? Right? Krishna is all four. No? One may, how Krishna can be all four? Because these four type of male heroes all have different characteristics. For example, Dhirshant is noble, peaceful, respectful, like this. But Dhilalit is always joking, chasing the girls. These are contradictory qualities. So the mutually contradictory bhavs that are seen in the four type of Nayak, no, they're all reconciled in Krishna because he possesses inconceivable potencies. Right? So only Krishna has the power to do all these things. So Krishna is endowed with the characteristics of all four heroes. Right? That is Krishna. But there's another astonishing facet of Krishna's characteristics. What is that? Krishna has Madhura-rasa, where Krishna is the object, has two aspects. One where Krishna is seen as the husband, and one where he is seen as the paramour. In Sanskrit, that is pati and upapati. So Vijay said, Krishna is the eternal husband of all souls. He should only be called pati. Why is there a relationship called upapati? Right? In tattva, in philosophy, Krishna is the husband, Krishna is the master, Krishna is the enjoyer of everyone and everything. So upapati means belonging to another. So how could anyone philosophically see Krishna as an upapati? Okay, so Goswami says, and this is a big explanation. Everyone has to be here very carefully. This is like 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of explanation. Okay, I'm also going to have a drink of water before we start. Now my water's going. Hang on 1 minute, huh? Because this subject matter, very deep. Who can understand? Even we understand in theory, but when that day comes, we will realize it. Okay, excuse me. So, how Krishna can be the upapati? Right, in simple language, husband and boyfriend, two relationships. We feel bad to use this mundane language, but what to do, what we know, we have to use that sometimes, no? So two relations where Krishna is the object of Madhura-rasa, no? Krishna is the embodiment of all four Nayaks, but this Madhura-rasa with Krishna as the object have two methods, two branches. Married relationship and where Krishna is unmarried. You are unmarried to Krishna. Okay? Pati and upapati. We should try to learn all this Sanskrit terminology. Of course, in this world, okay, he will just explain everything, no? Spiritual affairs are like jewels, but amongst them, this Parakya Madhura-rasa is the Kaustubha jewel, the best of all confidential spiritual secrets. Okay. Right, so now we're talking about Upapati Madhura-rasa. Okay. Parakya Madhura-rasa. So Goswami again and again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur give this understanding that what we are talking about is not some mundane subject matter. Again and again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions this. Otherwise, we mix material and spiritual things, then we lose everything. This world you perform abominable activities and become degraded, and you lose the spiritual world also. So very clearly we have to know the difference between mundane moods, mundane sentiments, mundane understanding, and pure spiritual understanding. Okay? So if you believe that the Paratattva, the absolute truth, is impersonal, like in Buddhism, and at the end of the day, the Judeo-Christianic religions, they all see God as impersonal, having no form, no distinct personality. So there's no question of Bhakti Ras being experienced in Islam, Christianity, or these other religions, Judaism, the impersonal yoga systems. That is impossible. What to speak of Sai Baba or anything else. So no ras, whatever appears, if one thinks the absolute truth is ultimately impersonal, because there's no object, no subject, because there's no duality. They believe in, anyway, all this we've explained millions of times before. No need to go back into that, right? If you do not believe that God exists as a distinct person after liberation, then where's the question of ras? No one to love, right? So this understanding denies the validity of the Vedic statements such as Rasol Vaisaha, the absolute truth is the embodiment of ras, the personification of all ras. Okay. So Nirvishesh Bhav, where you believe God has no hands, no legs, no Vishesh, no qualities, like no name, no form, no qualities, no activities, no pastimes, no abode, and no devotees. This is called Nirvishesh Bhav, impersonalism. Nirvishesh Bhav is useless because of its severe lack of happiness. So Ras develops from there with the acceptance that God has qualities. He has eternal name, form, qualities, and pastimes. So Nirvishesh means impersonalism, and Sarvishesh means with qualities. Nirgun means, in an ordinary sense, no qualities, and Sagun means with qualities. So Bhakti Ras means from the beginning of Bhakti Ras is when you accept Krishna's form, name, qualities, and pastime. This is called Sarvishesh or Sagun. That is the beginning. That Ras or that understanding is the primary tattva of the Paratattva. That Sarvishesh Bhav, understanding God with qualities, is first called Ishvara Bhav. Okay? Ishvara Bhav, I may be so bold as to say acceptance of God as the Paramatma. But even Paramatma has a form, no? But still the ras from that, of course, is very shrunken. So Ishvara Tattva means accepting there is a God. He has a name, he has form, he has qualities, he has pastimes. So accepting this, Sarvishesh Bhav is called Ishvara Bhav, the beginning, where God is the controller. Alright, the Paramatma. It's somewhat superior to Nirvishesh Bhav. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says the same thing. The yogi who meditates on the Paramatma, he is superior to the Jnana. Right, the end of 6th chapter Bhagavad Gita that is mentioned. So Ishvara Bhav is superior to Nirvishesh Bhav. But superior to that is Prabhu Bhav. Prabhu Bhav means Dasiras. Okay, Ishwar Bhav also can mean here Shantaras. Okay, because Shantaras also accept God has a form. Okay, so either way. But superior to Ishwar Bhav is Prabhu Bhav, which is higher than the Ishwar Bhav of Shantaras. Prabhu Bhav, where you accept Krishna is my master, that is Dasiras. The mood of servitude then comes. Sakya Bhav is more elevated than Dasya Bhav. But Sari Bhav is more superior to that. And Madhura-rasa is the topmost of all. As there is a gradation amongst these bhavs, each one being better than the previous one, the topmost of Parikya Madhura-rasa, that is the topmost of all moods. It is superior even to Svakiya. So the mood where you with an unmarried relationship to Krishna and Madhura-rasa that is superior even to thinking Krishna is my husband. So, there are two tattvas here. One is Atma, own, and Para, another. Okay, that's how in this world any taste or any relationship is based on these two things: me, Atma, and Para, another. Okay, the natural tendency to be fixed in the self, Atmanistha-dharma, is called Atma-ramata. Okay, when you don't need anyone or anything else for your happiness, that quality is called Atma-ramata. Okay. And that taste you get from Atma-ramata there is no assistant ingredients. There is no assistance from anyone else. So the jiva has that to some degree, but a Krishna has that Atma-ramata, the quality of being self-satisfied, eternally. Krishna, by philosophy, he does not need anyone or anything to serve him or give him happiness. He's fully satisfied within himself. Okay. But everything must be in Krishna, right? Therefore, Krishna possesses the quality of being self-satisfied, but he also possesses the quality of being dependent on others. Right? Krishna is the source of everything. Therefore, Atma-ramata, being self-satisfied, and Para-ramata, being dependent on others, both these qualities are present in Krishna because he's the source of everything. Okay? These are contradictory qualities, but both can reside in Krishna at the same time. That is Krishna's inconceivability. Right? Krishna possesses the power. He is smaller than the smallest. He is bigger than the biggest. Right? He is the absolute truth, but he tells lies. Right? He is unborn, but he takes birth from the womb of Yasoda. Right? He's contradictory. Again and again we hear in Jaiva-Dharma, these contradictory and conflicting qualities all harmonize within Krishna because he is possessed of inconceivable potencies, which makes the impossible possible. So both these qualities are present in Krishna. This is the intrinsic nature of the Paratattva. Okay. So Krishna has one aspect of being Atmaram, self-satisfied. Well, he also has a counterpart quality of being fully dependent on others. That is called Pararamata. So when that Pararamata, being dependent on others, reaches its highest stage, that is called Parikya-bhav. Okay? Okay, so can I explain it in my own way? Right? Krishna has the quality of being not needing anyone or anything for his pleasure. He's self-satisfied. But he also possesses the quality of being dependent on others. Right? For example, in Santa-rasa, Krishna does not need anyone or anything. So the Visaya Lamban of Santa-rasa is Krishna, like four-handed form, Narayan, like that. Narayan doesn't need anyone or anything. He's possessed of all these qualities, the source of everything. So, in that form, he only needs himself, for himself and by himself. But in Dasya-rasa, Krishna gives up that quality and extends himself, and his aspect of Pararamata becomes manifested more in Dasya-rasa, because the servant always thinking Krishna needs a glass of water, Krishna needs something to eat, Krishna needs a bed, right? So that quality of being Pararamata, dependent on others, manifests more when Krishna reciprocates with the devotee of Dasya-rasa. Then in Svakiya-rasa it becomes more dependent. Krishna cannot live 1 second without seeing the friends, the Sakis. He's always wrestling with them, he's always joking with them, always in the forest with them. So he gives up his quality of being self-satisfied and becomes more attached to the devotees in Svakiya-rasa. In Vatsalya-rasa, that Pararamata reaches a more extraordinary degree. Baby Krishna cannot even feed himself, he cannot eat, he doesn't know anything, he's fully dependent on mother and father. And so this quality Pararamata reaches its topmost aspect in Madhura-rasa. Krishna cannot live 1 second without the Brajagopis. He fully depends on them. Without them, he don't know anything. And the highest aspect of this Pararamata is experienced in Parikya. So it's a very wonderful thing. Madhusudamans give a nice, simple explanation. Like paneer. I assume everyone knows what is paneer. Paneer is, God, I don't even know, like, what's the word? Cottage cheese? Anyway, cottage cheese. Cottage cheese which is just taken from the milk, it have a taste. It have a taste. But when that cottage cheese is like fried in ghee, soaked in syrup with rose water and becomes a rasgulla, then that becomes even more astonishing. And so when Krishna gives up his own Atmaramata and tries to taste the ras present in the devotee, which is like a rasgulla, that time Krishna gets even more taste from the rasgulla than he does from the paneer. That's a material example, but we can get some aspect, some understanding. So in Braj Leela, Krishna chasing the devotee. Right? The devotees have so many wonderful moods, so much affection, that Krishna gives up his own quality of being self-satisfied and chases the Vaishnava, chases the Brijabasis. That's why in Vrindavan, that Pararamata, that Krishna is seen to be not Pararamata. It's seen like that. And he's crying for Madhya Soda, feed me. He's putting his peacock feather and flute at the feet of the Braja Gopis. Oh, please forgive my offense. So this is astonishing thing. Okay. So Krishna, even though he's putting his flute on the feet of the gopis, still he possesses the quality of Atma-ramata. That is Krishna Tattva. Extraordinary. So, we'll just stick to the explanation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. No? From Atma-ramata, okay, sorry. Parikya Rasa is the astonishing rasa that appears when the Nayak, Krishna, and the Nayaka, the gopis, are united by attachment. Even though the relationship between them is parabhav, or they're being married to someone else. We'll explain that later. So from Atmaramata to Pararamata is the full spectrum of rasa. As rasa is drawn in the direction of Atmaramata, it becomes dry, and as rasa is to that extent is drawn to the quality of Pararamata, it becomes more and more relishable, more and more astonishing, more and more developed, more and more blossoming. Okay. In the stages between cottage cheese and rasgulla, there's many stages, but that much you go towards the rasgulla, everything becomes more and more nectarian, more and more wonderful. Okay. That's why when ordinary people hear Krishna stealing butter, Madhya Soda twisting Krishna's ear and tying her, they think, how can this be God? Because he fully controlled and fully controlled and dependent on and by the devotee. And they think God does not need anyone or anything, so they become confused, and the conclusion is Krishna is an ordinary person, he cannot be God. Okay. As rasa is drawn in the direction of Atmaramata, it becomes dry, whereas the extent it is drawn towards Parikya, it becomes fully blossomed. Kya chahiye? Main vyast hu. Hey, 1 minute, I should just ignore him. कौन है? हम नहीं जानते. बोलिए बाहर क्या? आप दीदी से पूछना. हम ठीक से नहीं बोल सकते. अच्छी तो नाम से पूछना. वो अंदर कुछ तो बाबा में. ये जो बाहर है. Ah, God. The duties of this world never cease. Okay. So when Krishna is the object, Krishna is the hero, then how such a relationship can be material or degrading? Impossible, because he is the pure and perfect object. Okay? In this world, if it's done, it's the most degraded and horrible and sinful. Because if a woman gives up her husband and has some boyfriend, that boyfriend is not Krishna, so it's degraded. And you go to hell. Therefore, mundane poets have said the meeting of a man with a married woman who is not his wife, that is most contemptible. Okay. Therefore, Rupa Goswami has said, even though this upapati bhav in material life has been described as detestable, this only applies when the boyfriend, when the nayak is some mundane bag of stool and urine called a boy. Okay. But when Krishna is the object, it cannot be said to be that. Okay. Right. Anyway, what mundane example can we give? If I throw a stone at someone, that is bad. But if I throw a piece of gold at someone, then that's good. Okay. So what are the character? Okay. And Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Krishna is the source of all religion. So how could anything connected with Krishna be sinful or contemptible? That is not possible. Okay, what is a pati? Okay, pati means who has accepted the hand of a bride in marriage. That is a pati. So what's an upapati? An upapati is a man who is driven by intense lust, and he gives up all religiosity and accepts as his beloved another woman. Okay, and in the context of a woman, a parakya is a woman who neglects the dharma of this world, transgresses the regulations of marriage, and completely offers herself to a man who is not her husband. This is parakya. Okay. Upapati is for the man, the nayak, and parakya is for the woman, the nayaka. So there are two types of parakya: married, unmarried, and married. Okay, so this parakya bhav, there's two types of gopis: those who are married to others, okay, that is called puroda, and those who are not married, who are virgins, that is called kanya. So two types of gopis, kanya and puroda. What are the symptoms of svakiya? Okay. A chaste woman who has been married according to regulative principles and who is always absorbed in following the order of her husband, that is called svakiya, chaste woman. Who are svakiya and who are parikya for Krishna? The married ladies of Dwarka are svakiya, and the young gopis of Braj are parikya. Right? Krishna is not married in Braj. Krishna only married when he went to Dwarka. So who are Svakiya and who are Parikya for Krishna? Dwarka, the queens of Dwarka. These are Svakiya, married, and the gopis of Braj are Parikya. In Uppercut Lila, where are these two types of ladies in the transcendental spiritual world? This is very confidential. Gopal Guru Goswami says, you know, the spiritual world is 3/4 of the material of the complete existence. You know, Tripad Vibhuti, and this material world is only 1/4. 25% of the creation is the material creation. Okay. Okay. So between the material and the spiritual creation is the Viraj river. Okay, one side is Maya with 1/4 of the creation, the other side is the spiritual world with 3/4 of the creation. Okay. In the middle, okay, Brahmadam, that is the effulgence of Brahman, surrounds the spiritual world on all sides. Right? So that effulgence also pervades the material world also. Okay. Anyway, that effulgence surrounds the spiritual world on all sides. When one penetrates, when the soul goes beyond the Viraj, right? That's the river in the middle. When it goes beyond the Viraj and enters the spiritual sky, he enters Vaikuntha. So the lower level of the spiritual world, of course lower, this is material logic, but we say the lower level of the spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. There, Narayan lives. And all the souls worship him with feelings of awe and reverence. In Vaikuntha, there is Svakiya-rasa. Svakiya-rasa. Right? There Krishna has many Shaktis, 16, but 3 are main, Sri, Nila and Bhu. They marry, they serve Krishna as, like Lakshmi for example, they serve Krishna with the feeling Krishna is my husband, this is Svakiya. Above Vaikuntha is the spiritual world of Golok. Okay, in Vaikuntha the Svakiya concepts. Okay. So Dwarka is in the section like Vaikuntha. There is Svakiya there. And Golok, the young ladies serve there in Parkya. Okay. So Golok also have the outside section is called Golok. And the inside section is called Braj. So, if Golok is the highest place, then why have Braj been glorified? Means this earthly Vrindavan. Right? If Goloka in the spiritual world is the highest, then why everyone glorify Braj Vrindavan in this material world? So Goswami explains, Braj, Gokul and Vrindavan, this whole conception is called Mathura Mandal. Okay? Mathura Mandal and Golok, the Mathura Mandal in this world, and Golok, the spiritual world, are non-different from each other, Abhed Tattva. Okay? In the spiritual world, it's called Golok, and when that Golok is manifest in the material world, it's called Mathura Mandal. So Vijay asked, how is it possible? No? Goswami said, this is only by Krishna's inconceivable potencies, Achinta Shakti. And everything done by the Achinta Shakti is beyond logic and argument. You cannot say, that's impossible, how could it be? No. What Krishna wants, that will be. Nothing that Krishna wants is impossible for him. Right? Someone asked Prabhupada, trying to be clever, could Krishna create anything he could not lift? And Prabhupada said, yes. And then the next second he would lift it. So all the activities of the Achinta Shakti, all are inconceivable beyond logic and argument. The eternal abode of Golok is called Prakat Lila when it... Okay. So many disturbances. Okay. The eternal abode of Golok is called Mathura-dham in this world. When that Mathura, Golok appears within this world of Prapanch, 5 elements, then it's called Mathura or Mathura-dham. Okay, so here is many names for the same thing. Aprakat Lila, the eternal Lila, the transcendental Lila, there it's called Golok. And here it's called Mathura-dham. Okay. The Krishna's pastimes are eternal, eternally manifest in the spiritual world of Golok. No? And those in this world who are eligible, they can also see Golok. Not only that, they can have darshan of Golok in Gokul itself. Okay, Gokul means in this world. Golok means spiritual world. So those who are qualified while living here in Gokul or Mathura Mandal in this world, they can see the spiritual world even though they're here. However, the jiva whose intelligence is material cannot attain the darshan of Golok. Even though Gokul is Golok, those with material intelligence see Gokul as an ordinary place consisting of 5 gross ingredients, like us, right? We're here in Sevakunj, but what we're seeing, monkeys fighting, sari shops, sweet shops, garbage, stool and urine, plastic bags, no? Actually, where we're sitting now is the spiritual world, but because of material intelligence, we see it as a material place. But those who have qualification, being in this place, they can see this place as the spiritual world, and they see the uppercut pastimes of Krishna even though they're here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Dharamena Svarupa When that time comes, when I can see the eternal nature of this Vrindavan, I will realize myself as an eternal maidservant of Radhika. Okay. So what is the qualification? Have darshan of Golok, the spiritual world. Sukadeva Goswami has given the qualification in Bhagavatam. Okay. He said, although the Gopas are eternally perfect, they nonetheless descended to this world as assistants in Krishna's pastimes. The Sadhan Siddha Gopas were the followers of those Nitya Siddha Gopas. The Sadhan Siddha Gopas thought, due to ignorance, the jivas in this world identify themselves with their material bodies, thus they are full of material desires. They engage in various activities to fulfill their desires. Thus they move through the cycle of birth and death. We are also doing the same activity. Right? This is the story when Nanda Baba disappeared in the Yamuna. He went to take bath. At that time, the servants of Varun considered Nanda Maharaj to have taken bath at an incorrect time. They kidnapped him. They took him to the abode of Varuna. When Varuna realized his mistake, he became very worried. My servants have kidnapped the father of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So, meanwhile in Braj, the Gopas were crying. Nanda Baba's drowned. Nanda Baba's disappeared. So Krishna jumped into the Yamuna, and where did he go? He went to the abode of Varuna. When the god of water saw Krishna has personally come with great opulence, he welcomed Krishna with arati. He gave many paraphernalia, many gifts to Nanda Baba and to Krishna. He begged forgiveness, and Krishna took Nanda Baba back to Vrindavan. So Nanda Baba was telling all the Brijabasis everything he's seen, and he thought that the abode of Varuna was actually Vaikuntha. So he told all the Brijabasis, I went to Vaikuntha, Krishna went there. No, then the Brijabasis asked Krishna, oh Krishna, we've never been to Vaikuntha. We want to see Vaikuntha. We want to see two things they asked. We want to see liberation. We want to see Vaikuntha. So Krishna took them to Vaikuntha. No, it's a long story, I don't want to tell it too much, but they went to Brahmarad there in Akurughat, all Brijabasis. Krishna said, everyone go in the water. All the cowherd boys went in the water, and in the water they saw Vaikuntha. But they were not satisfied there. No? Because in Vaikuntha they saw there is Krishna Narayan, but full of opulence, full of gravity, like this. So they felt shy also, they felt afraid. What is this? This is Krishna. But Krishna normally in Vrindavan, he jumps on our laps, he pulls our beards, he laughs and jokes with us. But here is Krishna in a completely different mood. Also, we have completely different mood here, so the Brijabasis prayed, no, we don't want any more to see Vaikuntha, we just want to go back to Vrindavan. So the question was how anyone can see the spiritual world, Golok, despite being in Gokul. So Sukadeva Goswami gave that one example in the Bhagavatam. So then in a more easy way, Gopal Guru explains, one cannot have darshan of Golok without Krishna's mercy. Krishna bestowed mercy on the Brijabasis and granted them darshan of Golok, spiritual world. This Golok is the excellent transcendental abode beyond material nature. The spiritual effulgence of the Brahmajyoti exists there eternally as the radiance of its limbs. When the sadhak is free from all mundane connection with matter, he can have darshan of that Golok. He can have darshan of the spiritual world and the pastimes of Krishna. Okay, I think we should finish here. If you don't want to bite off more than we can chew. Okay. So, everyone has a lot to meditate on now. Can you remember? Okay, the four type of Nayak, the four type of hero. Of Krishna is the embodiment of all four. The development of ras, from giving up mundane ras, which is the perverted reflection of the spiritual reality. Mundane and spiritual ras begins from the rejection of impersonalism, the acceptance that God has a form. So Ishwar Bhav, right? And Prabhu Bhav, then Sakya Bhav, Vatsalya Bhav, and Madhurya Bhav. So as the rasas increase, there's greater taste, greater happiness. So Krishna possesses all qualities. One is being Krishna is self-satisfied. He also possesses the quality of being dependent on others. So that much that Krishna gives up the quality of being self-satisfied and chases the devotees. Right? To that degree, ras increases. Okay. Anyway, all these things we heard. So I request everyone, the day after tomorrow, okay, we'll little bit again just recite this second bit, which is the discussion of Golok and Gokul, the discussion of Vaikunta and Mathura Manda, and how both are non-different from each other. How one can see one though living here, one can see the spiritual world despite living here. Okay, we'll discuss all this more. Okay, the day after tomorrow. So, and also I think people should read chapter 32. Already heard the discussion of the different Nayak. Krishna is the Nayak of Madhura-rasa, as the Visaya-lamban. Chapter 32, Madhura-rasa-vicara, Parakya-nayakas. We will then hear the day after tomorrow the different divisions of gopis. Okay, different divisions of gopis, the abode, those who are the Asraya-lamban of this Parakya Bhav. Okay, so that chapter is not so long, well, it's not so short also. Thank you very much. Jai Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. My God, I just found my microphone. I plugged it in. Sorry, that's why no one could hear anything. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sounds better now, I guess, isn't it? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Go Premanandi,